Meg will join us when she joins us, and it's 7:06, so I'm going to call us to order and invite you all to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's official, the bigger flag.
All right. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Stacy. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Right, thank you. Approval of consent agenda. On tonight's consent agenda, we have approval of the March 7th, 2023 Board of Education regular meeting minutes, as well as the approval of the March 18th, 2023 Board of Education retreat minutes. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Dave. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Right, unanimous. Thank you. Audience of citizens, do we have anyone who'd like to address the board this evening? Hello, welcome. You can join us at the podium, and if you don't mind stating your name and address.
I'm Debbie Law, 18 Bell Court in Portland. Well, obviously in Portland. And I wrote something that I want to read. I just put, I don't come to these meetings all that much because I know me and I get upset easily, especially in regards to children. But if you ever need me to help you with something, I will. There are 3 areas I want to mention. We need to be feeding our children better, way less processed foods. If it's processed, it's not good. We need to provide foreign language instruction K-12. Not only are our children not being prepared to compete in the global market, but a good many are not going to be able to compete within our own nation. I know, I often see an exciting job opportunity which indicates bilingual preferred. In other words, don't bother applying if you're not bilingual. But I'm a little excited about my 3rd area because I did not realize the impact and the financial cost can be regulated. I just read this book, Why We Sleep, by Matthew Walker, and it's fascinating. I want to read you a few areas that pertain to children, and I'll be very quick. And he's really, this is the book, and he's really like the guru. I mean, he taught at Harvard, and he's amazing. Not that that makes him amazing, but he is amazing. Sleep and education. More than 80% of public high schools in the United States begin before 8:15, and almost 50% of those start before 7:20. School buses for a 7:20 a.m. start usually begin picking up kids at around 5:45 a.m. As a result, some children and teenagers must wake up at 5:30 or 5:15 or even earlier and do so 5 days a week out of every 7 days for years on end. This is lunacy. Previously, we noted that circadian rhythm of teenagers shifts forward dramatically by 1 to 3 hours. So really the question I should ask you, if you were an adult, is this: could you concentrate and learn anything after having forcibly been woken up at 3:15 a.m. day after day? Would you be in a cheerful mood? Would you find it easy to get along with your coworkers and conduct yourself with grace, tolerance, respect, and a pleasant demeanor? Of course not. Why then do we ask this of millions of teenagers and children in industrialized nations? Surely this is not an optimal design of education. Forced by the hand of early school start times, the state of chronic sleep deprivation is especially concerning, considering that adolescence is the most susceptible phase of life for developing chronic mental illnesses, such as depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and suicidality. Unnecessarily bankrupting the sleep of a teenager could make all the difference in the precarious tipping point between psychological wellness and lifelong psychiatric illness. This is a strong statement, and I do not write it flippantly or without evidence. Back in the 1960s, when the functions of sleep were still largely unknown, researchers selectively deprived young adults of REM sleep, and thus dreaming for a week, while still allowing them non-REM sleep. The unfortunate study participants spent the entire time in the laboratory with electrodes placed on their heads. It didn't require all 7 nights of dream sleep deprivation before the mental health effects began to manifest. By the 3rd day, participants were expressing signs of psychosis. They became anxious, moody, and started to hallucinate. They were hearing things and seeing things that were not real. They also became paranoid. I'm not reading everything. It's the lack of REM sleep, the critical stage occurring in the final hours of sleep, that we strip from our children and teenagers by way of early school start times. That creates the difference between a stable and unstable mental state. Terman, this is the researcher, found that what really mattered, the longer a child slept, the more intellectually gifted they were. Controlled sleep laboratory studies in smaller samples show that children with longer total sleep times develop superior IQ, with brighter children having consistently slept 40 to 50 minutes more than those who went on to develop a lower IQ. Examinations of identical twins further impress how powerful sleep is. By 10 years of age, the twin with a longer sleep pattern was superior in their intellectual and educational abilities. A growing number of schools in the U.S. have started to revolt against the early school model. One of the first test cases happened in Minnesota. So they started 45 minutes later. More striking than the 43 minutes of extra sleep was the difference in SAT scores. With the original start time, it was 6:05 in verbal. After they starting 45 minutes later, their test scores increased to 761 for the same top-tier bracket of students. Math SAT scores also improved, increasing from an average of 683 in the year prior to the time change to 739 in the year after. That improvement will change which tier of university those teenagers go to, potentially altering their subsequent life trajectories as a consequence. Children from lower socioeconomic backgrounds are less likely to be taken to school in a car, in part because their parents often have to work at jobs in the service industry, demanding work start times at or before 6 a.m. Such children therefore rely on school buses for transit and must wake up earlier than those taken to school by their parents. As a result, those already disadvantaged children become even more so because they routinely obtain less sleep than children from more affluent families. I'm almost finished. Delayed school start times wonderfully increase class attendance, reduces behavioral and psychological problems, and decreases substance and alcohol use. In addition, later start times beneficially mean a later finish time. This protects many teens from the well-researched danger window between 3 and 6 p.m. when school is finished but before parents return home. This unsupervised, vulnerable time period is a recognized cause of involvement in crime and alcohol and substance abuse. Later school start times profitably shorten this danger window, reduce these adverse outcomes, and therefore lower the associated financial cost to society. Yet something even more profound has happened in this ongoing story of later start times, something that researchers did not anticipate. The life expectancy of students increased. The leading cause of death among teenagers is road traffic accidents. When this certain school district in Minnesota pushed their school start time from 7:30 to 8, there was a 60% reduction in traffic accidents in drivers 16 to 18 years of age. Without change, we will simply perpetuate a vicious cycle wherein each generation of children are stumbling through the education system in a half-comatose state, chronically sleep-deprived for years on end, stunted in their mental and physical growth as a consequence, and failing to maximize their true success potential, only to inflict the same assault on their own children decades later. This harmful spiral is only getting worse. Data aggregated over the past century for more than 750,000 school-age children aged 5 to 18 reveal that they are sleeping 2 hours fewer per night than their counterparts were 100 years ago. An added reason for making sleep a top priority in education and the lives of our children concerns the link between sleep deficiency and the epidemic of ADHD. And this is the last I'll read. As parents, we therefore have a jaundiced view of the need and importance of sleep in our children, sometimes even chastising or stigmatizing them with their desire to sleep enough, including their desperate weekend attempts to repay a sleep debt that the school system has saddled them with through no fault of their own. I hope we can change. I hope we can break the parent-to-child transmission of sleep neglect and remove what the exhausted, fatigued brains of our youth so painfully starved of. When sleep is abundant, minds flourish. When it is deficient, they don't. And he also says, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but that nutrition and exercise rest upon the pillar of sleep. So I did bring you a copy of the book, and the bookmark is where the pages that I would hope you would read are. And I know everybody's going to balk, I have to get to work, but I think everybody can agree we're in trouble. We need to just start moving on things. Even if we say we can't do it, we just need to take the leap of faith. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, Debbie.
Cool.
All right. I believe that we are ready to move on to our Portland Public Schools Spotlight.
So, again, in recognition of Board Appreciation Week, I want to give a
special thanks to Dylan and Corey and Tricia for putting together a little video production that we're going to put together for you. So this is for you guys. Please take a look.
Just in. It is Board of Education Appreciation Month, and we wanted to highlight some of the incredible things that the Board of Ed has done for us here at Brownston Intermediate School. This incredible group of people make it possible for us kids in Portland to have the learning experiences that we have, and help make decisions about how our schools are run, including things like hiring the best superintendent and figuring out the best ways to buy the things we need to learn. Don't just take it from us. Our special correspondents ventured out into biz to hear right from students.
Alright, you guys, why do you guys like coming to school at Brownstown?
I like going to school because there's a whole bunch of teachers that are really nice and care for you.
And I like going to Brownston because there's a lot of fun activities and specials you can do here.
There's fantastic teachers. And the school is historic and very pretty.
It's always like helpful teachers that are around and seeing my friends every day.
Because it's fun.
Why do you love Brownstown? Well, I love Brownstown because we have so many amazing staff and we have so many books. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for that? The Board of Ed.
Thank you, Board of Ed.
The Portland Board of Education is a group of people that hire teachers to educate. They also provide school lunches and make school rules for our community. Dr. Britton is a person a part of that group.
Thank you, Board of Ed.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Board of Ed. Thank you, Board of Ed.
On behalf of the National Honor Society, thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board of Ed.
That appreciates you, Board of Ed. Thank you.
I think the Board of Education is a group of people who help be in charge of the schools and to make all sorts of different programs for the kids at school to have fun things to do after school while they wait for their parents to come and get them. Thank you.
Thank you for always supporting our school libraries and makerspaces. What do we say, everyone?
Thank you.
Wow. That was really special.
It doesn't get better than that, right?
Totally precious. Thank you for that.
Terrible. Yeah, no, thank you, Tricia, and thank you, Dylan and Corey Toussaint did a good job putting that.
Yeah, I just had a vision.
Yeah.
Staff really like picked it up by sending in the videos and the pictures, and then Dylan, and then Corey edited it all, and he had some serious outtakes to edit out. He was amazing.
That's wonderful. That's funny. That was so precious.
All of them, every single one of them.
Really thoughtful. Well, thanks for that lovely spotlight.
That was the best one yet.
Any comments or questions, board members?
That was awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, that was,
It's a
so
first,
cute.
it's really a first, and I think it's really, it's befitting the school to, understand where the money and the support comes from, so I think it's good. I think it's a good educational piece as well, but, I'm flabbergasted with the response, it's really amazing, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great idea.
All right. On that note, let's hear from our student reps. We're so thrilled to have you both here in person with us tonight. It's really nice to see you both.
Okay, I'll start. Tomorrow, the freshmen and sophomores will be taking their PSATs, and the juniors, like myself, will be taking our SATs tomorrow. After months and months of hard work, we finally were able to perform Once Upon a Mattress Friday and Saturday. It was quite a success. We had a great turnout, at least 150, I believe, every night. I know that I had a lot of fun. It was amazing to work with all of them, and I can't wait to do it next year as a senior.
So spring sports started yesterday. I'm also a member of one of them, and I was able to be out there yesterday and today, and I've seen a lot of participation with the school, so it's really great to see everybody having fun. Winter Sports Awards is tomorrow night at 6, so they're really just congratulating all the seniors and making it really special for them as well. And seniors also got their capstone decisions last Thursday.
Excellent. Thank you for the update. Any questions for our student reps this evening? No? All right. You're welcome. If you need to take off, we understand. If you want to stay and participate in the rest of our meeting, you are more than welcome to stay. We love having you here. We also understand it's a busy time of year. Yes. All right. Communications and updates. Dr. Britton, what do you have for us tonight?
Oh, just a few things. In the spirit of our agenda, I don't have a lot, which is kind of nice, but a few important updates. First, I do just want to echo. I think that the past couple weeks have been awesome. But both watching our winter sports teams at all levels wrap up a very, very successful winter sports season. I know how hard our students and coaches and everybody works to pull that off, and I hope you got to see the Once Upon a Mattress show went last Friday. It was terrific. What a great community event to get everybody out, and the talent of the students in the production was fabulous. It was a nice. My wife and I got to go. We had a nice date and had some dinner at Luce, and they came up and saw it. But I was really impressed, and I want to give a shout out to all of our students who are involved in so many extracurricular and co-curricular activities, and it's just amazing to see them perform. So we're heading into the spring, and many more to come. Got the band extravaganzas and all the fun things that happen this spring. Alrighty, so. Many of you were there, but I just want to kind of update everyone on how it went last week with the budget hearing and the budget workshop. Mm-hmm. In a word, well, right? I mean, I think it went well to the extent that I was able to present the budget. I got good feedback on it. I think people appreciated knowing a little bit more about how the sausage is made and some insights into all of the things we've done at the district and building level to make sure we're bringing forward a pretty fair representation of what our needs are. And I had some really good questions from the Board of Selectmen and the community, and I think we answered their questions successfully. So off we go, on to the budget referendum, which is coming up. I'm hoping that we've impressed upon the community that our needs are real, and I hope that the budget lands where it is. So does anybody have any questions? I know many of you were there, but if you didn't make it, any more details about either the hearing or the workshop last week?
No, but prior to, you jumped a step, prior to the referendum in May, we have the Board of Selectmen will have their budget deliberations beginning March 28th, next Tuesday. That's a good meeting to have board presence at if you're available Tuesday the 28th at 7 o'clock.
Right, and that's my next one. Right.
Take it away.
So, update on the track. You are aware, but I'll just kind of remind everybody. So the engineering firm did come back with all of their analysis, and some of the core samples that they took were not good. I mean, it does reflect that there are portions of the track foundation that are sinking and crumbling, and that the specifications they gave that went out to bid indicated that it needs a different type of foundation in order to make that track sustainable for the long haul, right? Unfortunately, the cost for that type of foundation was close to $700,000 over what we have budgeted. So if you remember, the state grant we received was for $500,000. The town had allocated an additional $250,000. So where our hoped for budget at that time was $250,000. The bid that came back was about $1.3 million. And again, that's a reflection of what we didn't know, which is, the condition in particular of the north end of the track. So that's the unfortunate news. The fortunate side of it is that there is still a strong willingness on the part of the First Selectman Ryan and the Board of Selectmen to get this done. I mean, we have the money from the state. It's time. It's one of those things that I think everybody recognizes this needs to be done. So I did send an email to the community today, and I did put you on that email, notifying everybody of that cost overrun and sharing with everybody a resolution that was passed by the Board of Selectmen such that next Tuesday, it would be a reallocation from the town's fund balance and some municipal revenue sharing grants that the town has to apply that additional $700,000 so that we can get this project started. Next Tuesday at 6 o'clock will be the town meeting, and then at 6:30 will be the hearing on that. So I did put out 3 documents for the community. I put out a document with the notice of the hearing, notice of the town meeting, and then the resolution that the community will be invited to vote on. So it does require a vote in order to do this. That meeting is going to take place because we're expecting more people than would likely fit in the Buck Foreman room. So it's going to be at the auditorium at Brownstone.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's been moved from the Buck Foreman room to Brownstone to accommodate what we hope will be a larger than normal number of people that come out for these things. So please come out and spread the word that it's important for people to exercise the franchise and vote, or ask questions. Certainly, if anybody has any questions about what the cost overruns were or why, I'd be happy to answer them or let you see the specifications that came back from the engineering firm. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a deep expertise in tracks, but I know enough to know, both by looking at it and reading that engineering specs, that the whole track is sinking, particularly on that north end, and it has to be shored back up. 2 pieces of good news are that if this goes through, if those funds are secured, the type of foundation that is put in will be warranted for 20 years, but has a life expectancy of 50. That tells you how it's a big steel beam, wrapped track essentially. It's
because they use cabling, right?
Cable
and
wrap it up
pour
tight.
concrete and do the whole. Yeah.
So the good news is that will be there for 50 years should this go through, and the company that's has bid on this indicated that they would be able to start July 1. That may have some short-term impact on the fall sports season, but hopefully we would have a track by the spring track season this time next year, which would be wonderful. So let's see how it goes.
Now, the email what you sent out, did that go to all, like it says Dear or Good Morning Portland, is that parents?
With everybody. Parents, teachers, board members,
Not to
town
like
members.
Town members outside of the school system.
No, it's everybody who's on our listserv.
So it's the
It's families.
Families,
yeah, it's the families and students and everybody. Yeah.
We're also going to put it on our our PK to 6 and 7 to 12 Facebook and Instagram pages, and then I know it's.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So we're going to get the word out.
And it'll be noticed in the paper too. They'll have to put it out.
Correct.
And we want to get a lot of folks out for that.
It'd be important for people to come out for that, for sure. Any questions about where we are with that? All right, let's keep our fingers crossed and see where it goes.
For clarity's sake, that special, the public hearing and the town meeting will be taking place at 6 o'clock at Biz on Tuesday the 28th, and there's a 7 o'clock budget deliberation.
So basically walk across the street.
Across the street.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, could be at Biz from 6.
Yeah.
And then,
grab
6
something, a little easy, grab
on
a
your
slice
way.
of pizza
Get your
and
snack on the way.
Right, go
Yeah.
on and back over to Buck
Exactly.
Foreman. Okay. I didn't realize they were going to move it back across the island.
I'm
probably 'cause
assuming they
use
are
the
unless they
text
renotice
reader.
it.
Okay.
I believe it's gonna
I
be
would
about
think, I
Mormon.
mean, they're not gonna bring all the video equipment
No,
over
that's
to
where the
Biz,
students'
so,
abilities
yeah,
are
so
and all
they'll
that.
probably go back for the.
I would think so.
Good.
All right.
All right, 2 more quick ones. I just want to thank you for our retreat Saturday. I got a lot out of it. I enjoyed the conversation. I think Nick did a very nice job of kind of, sharing some of his expertise and, pitfalls and successes in other districts. I thought that was helpful. I appreciate you guys coming out on a Saturday morning. Sarah's made a delicious breakfast for us.
Sure did.
So, as you know, our facilities study committee is meeting April 3rd. Hopefully that will be one of our final meetings. My hope is that the committee honors the extended deadline, and that by end of June, by July 1, we're noticing a joint Board of Education, Board of Selectmen meeting, which is called for in the resolution, where we're going to be able to present a report. So I think our retreat was very helpful, and gave you some insights into where we are, and I'm really hopeful that April 3rd I'll have a direction, which I can see how I'm going to be spending my April vacation, which is putting together all of this information for this 2-year journey that we've been on, which I know is going to start an important conversation in town.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good, so thank you for coming out. And then the last thing, I just thought you would enjoy this. So at our last meeting, I shared with you 50 pages worth, right, of abridged Connecticut general statutes that, and Dave turned to me and said, is there like the Cliff Notes versions of this? And that was the Cliff Note version, right, those 50 pages. I imagine that if we looked at all the legislation, it would be 5,000 pages, right? So what I shared with you tonight, I thought you would get a chuckle out of, are the 50 pages worth of new bills that are in Hartford right now, right? So Caps shared this with me. I imagine Cabe has something similar. But these are all the bills that are being considered and that you're probably reading about in the newspaper or hearing about through Cabe and your networks. Certainly, I don't expect all of these will pass, but all of these are ones that have been raised and up for consideration.
And these are any bill that has specific implications for public education.
Correct.
Not just every bill.
Yes.
No,
I was gonna say, yeah, no, there's a lot more.
Just education-centered ones. All right, thank you.
So there is a lot of interest in the work of public schools in Hartford these days, for sure. And some of these bills are important, interesting. We'll see which ones make it through. And then, of course, as you know, what happens is when these bills are passed, CABE's policy committee takes them and they work with their attorneys to identify existing policies that we need to update with either language or references to these potentially new statutes or new policies that come. So I do anticipate an interesting June, July CABE policy update, which the policy committee would have to review and obviously would be reflective of any of these changes that are made in state statute. So in any event, I thought you might be interested to see what our legislators are kibitzing about.
And I would add that there are public hearings for the financial ramifications of any of these bills that are now sitting ready to be voted on. They go to the finance people and they look at them to see what the cost would be, and there are public hearings about that as well. And they're also looking for support for a couple of specific ones in Hartford. Craig is looking at one in particular, but they look and see whether or not we can afford to pay for all these things that the legislature has cooked up. So more to come on that as well.
More to come on that, for sure.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting.
All right.
That's all I have, yeah.
That's all you have for us tonight. Thank you, Charles. Dawn, if we're ready for a report from our Director of Student Services.
Is this microphone on?
I believe it is. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you all. It's nice to be back at our old haunts, huh? First of all, I hope everybody has their crazy socks on today. Today was our shout out across the state for Down syndrome awareness. So everybody had to wear mismatched socks. So it was a very interesting show on the news this morning, just talking about some events going on around the state. So But besides crazy socks, my update tonight is really brief. It's just a matter of a lot of status quo where we've been going throughout the year. There's not a lot of big changes right now. We are just, I don't have a lot to report, but I will tell you the department is, whether it's student services or EL or our school psych team, mental health team, people are working like crazy right now, right up to the spring break, take that good week off, and then come back and rear up for the final movement. We've been looking at our numbers of identified students with both IEPs and 504 plans, and the nice thing to report this year at this point in time is our numbers are very stable. And historically throughout the year, this is the time of year where we really start climbing as far as referrals and kids that are struggling in school, and we've been staying pretty stable. This is probably the first time in about 3 years that we haven't gone up by about 20, 30 kids by this time of the year. So that makes me feel really excited about the months to come. So there's no real change from our last meeting. We're just about 260 students with IEPs, about 105 students with 504 plans. We're still at about almost 60 students that are English language learners. English is not their first language, and they're getting services through our TESOL teacher. So it's kind of it's an interesting time of year because, like I said, everybody's busy as can be, but it's feeling really it's feeling a normal busy as compared to some of the past couple of years we've had. CT SEDS, I think that's probably where some of the calm is coming from. I think people are settling in. They've got a good command over the platform. We still find glitches in the system, but as we turn those glitches over to the RESC Alliance and to the State Department of Special Education, they are they're working on these glitches. So something that is existing now will be cleared up in a matter of a week or two. So it's just really refreshing to see that be moving along right now. Speaking of CT SEDS and implementation, I had mentioned last month that we were eligible for a implementation stipend, so we did apply for that, and we've gotten that. So Dr. Britton and I are taking a look at how to break that up in an equitable way. And put it to good use. And one thing that we did do this summer is you worked with me, and we were able to make our TESOL teacher a 1.0 position. It had been 0.5 for a couple of years, and just prior to just even as recently as 5 years ago, we didn't even have a TESOL teacher or somebody assigned to that role. She just finished the Lost Links testing, which is the standardized testing that all students are identified as English learners have to take this testing. It's an online platform, and they are assisted by teachers or paras to be able to take the evaluation and see if they still continue to qualify as an EL status. In the past, with a 0.5 person, that took up a good 3 or 4 months of the year where she was not able to teach at all. She was just doing testing. So this year it was great to have the teacher, Julie McGovern, who's doing an awesome job, to be able to teach as well as work on the testing and get everything done in a timely manner. So just wanted to give you an update on just good use of our funds. And the Transition Academy is moving forward. We have a couple of internal applicants that are interested, and we are posting outside as well, and we'll start interviews as soon as we've got our applicant pool together. And the first step is to get the teacher on board, and then from there it's looking at all of the logistics and making sure that we're up and running. So we'll have lots more to talk about that next month. That's all I have. Is there any questions for me? Okay.
Questions for Dawn? No?
All right. You know where to find us if you need it. Thanks.
All right, under new business, we only have one item to attend to tonight. It's the healthy food certification. So Charles, do you want to talk us through this process?
Sure.
We do this annually, but
yeah, annually we do this. It's a requirement per state statute. It's something that the Board of Education has to do to assure our regulators that our food is in compliance with the healthy food regulations and guidelines, right? And this is part of our participation in the National School Lunch Program. It's necessary in order for us to secure our reimbursements for free and reduced price meals. So again, this is something we do annually. It's something that Sodexo and Stephanie work very carefully, and I work very carefully to make sure that our menus and diets and how we're selling and when we're selling and what we're selling to our students aligns with the expectations of the National School Lunch Program. So there is a memo in there dated March 23rd from the State Department reminding us of this obligation. And Stephanie and Tricia were kind enough to organize the motions for us. So if you have any questions, I could certainly answer them. Otherwise, this will be our opportunity to certify that we're in compliance with that expectation associated with the National School Lunch Program.
Are there questions for Charles about the process or about what we're voting on tonight? Well, if not, is there a motion on the first consideration, the healthy food option? I do believe you have to read the language, so if you're gonna volunteer to do it, prepare yourself.
I'll make the motion that we
Would you like to
begin.
read it?
Sure. The motion for healthy food certification 2023-2024 school year. The motion is to recommend to the full board that the Portland School District approve the following consideration as outlined in the SDE Operational Memorandum, March 1st, 2023, requiring each local Board of Education or governing authority for all Connecticut public school districts participating in the National School Lunch Program, NSLP, to take action annually to certify whether all food items sold to students separately from reimbursable meals will or will not meet the Connecticut nutritional standards, which are known as CNS. The consideration number 1 is for the healthy food option pursuant to CGS section 10215F. The Portland Board of Education certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in the school under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut nutritional standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutritional standards during the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to the school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and other fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or non-school organization or groups.
We'll pause there. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
I saw Kim out of the corner of my eye, so Kim's gonna second. Is there discussion or questions about that?
I thought that was an either or. We either did option 1 or 2. We actually voted on both of them.
So we vote on both of them. The first one is not optional, it's just the healthy food option. The second one, I believe we could handle either as food and beverages separately or as the food and beverages combined. And in the past few years, we've handled them combined, so I think we were just provided with the combined option here. But I believe the multiple options for voting separately on food and beverages is in the larger document. But this first consideration is not optional, it's
required if we participate.
If we participate in the school lunch program. Did I get that correct,
That
Charles?
sounds right to me.
No, it
right.
is.
That's my memory from last year and the years prior.
Right, because these are ones that the second one is mostly for things like the I don't know what to call it. It doesn't have a name.
The beverages.
The snack bar.
The snack
at the
bars.
soccer games
Or at the school play,
right.
Right. The first one has, yeah.
Yeah, the first one is the required one for sure, and the second one.
We could allow an exemption during a soccer game or during a school play.
So that's what I wanted to make sure because
Right, so.
But there are 2 separate pieces to it. That.
Well, the first one seems to preclude the second one, is what I was thinking, but so we're saying, because it's saying any event whatsoever, but then later, so we can modify that with the second statement that.
Correct.
That we will in fact offer some things that.
Which we do.
Which we do.
What we do? Oh no, we have for years. I mean, I've done this every year too, and
Yeah.
I'm having a.
I know,
like,
it's, like.
I think you asked the
Thinking
same
back.
question last year.
I probably did, right?
Honestly, I can't remember exactly, but I think you did.
I'm just too literal, that's all.
Yeah. Does everybody feel clear enough on that we're prepared to vote on the first consideration?
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion on the first consideration? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? No, all right, thank you.
So I'll move the second.
Go for it.
All right, since I did the first one?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Consideration number 2, combined food and beverage exemptions. The Portland Board of Education will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutritional standards, provided that the following conditions are met. Number 1, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on a weekend. Number 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And number 3, the food items are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be at the same place as the food sales.
Thank you for reading that, Meg. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Tim. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye.
We had talked about this in policy too, as
Yeah.
far as beverages and
Yeah.
candy and things that are sold after the regular school day during events.
Yeah, all right.
Done.
Thanks for doing that reading. I believe that checks that box for us until this time next year. All right. I do not believe we have any old business on our agenda, so we will move to committee reports. Curriculum, we are scheduled to meet tomorrow, but we may be rescheduling for next week based on some availability issues. So we haven't met since our last meeting. We will be reporting in April.
Right.
Policy.
Is meeting on the 24th? And we will-
Tomorrow.
I
Yes,
was gonna
we're
say the
meeting tomorrow.
22nd, right?
22nd.
Policy meets tomorrow.
23rd.
Just the 22nd.
Well, what's today?
Unless they
Today's
change.
the
Yeah,
20
well, it's 22nd.
22nd.
So we're meeting tomorrow, the 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all I need to throw me off.
I know,
I
I
know.
am
change
too.
the location.
I know, I think I want this month to end. February was
And
short.
we're doing
March
that
is just
remotely,
going
right?
on.
We're doing that
Google
remotely.
So
Meet,
yes, we're
right.
doing that
Yeah.
remotely.
So
and
we will have a policy report
We will.
in April as
yes,
well.
we will.
Personnel, we have not met since our last meeting.
Right, do we have?
We do have one scheduled early April. I think the 6th. Is that right? I believe April 6th might be our next
I have
personnel
April,
meeting.
actually, I have March 27th. Is that a holdover from a?
It got rescheduled.
It did get okay, I have both
Yeah.
dates, frankly,
Yeah.
so that's, so I can delete the 27th.
That's right, April 6th, 9:30.
I have, yeah, April 6th, 9:30 I have.
All right. Buildings and grounds, have we had a meeting?
No, we have not, but I'm sure if money is available, we probably will talk about the track and some other things. So to be continued.
Yep.
Crack liaison, do you have anything to report from?
I went to the CREC meeting last Wednesday, and I also participated in a financial audit committee meeting prior to that. The budget, obviously, is the big one, and it's a big budget, millions and millions of dollars. And I think Greg Florio, who's the executive director, does an awesome job explaining the organization and the bones of the organization and all of the magnet schools and all of the services that are covered under this annual budget. The annual meeting is scheduled for May, hopefully in person this year, and it's just fascinating to see all the money that flows and all the things that they do. It's an incredible organization, and we're lucky to be a part of it. So more to come, and I'll have copies of the annual report, obviously, for everybody to take a look at.
Thank you. That'd be great.
It shows more of what they do and not just the financial, not the money, just the money part of it. So it'll be very fascinating.
All right. Dave, anything to report from the Board of Selectmen?
The big thing was the track, which we already discussed.
Yep. All right, thank you. Committee on Solidarity.
I think the next meeting for them is April 11th, I have.
and Equity and Inclusion Coalition.
And that next meeting for them is the 8th, or May 8th, I'm sorry. I believe, pretty sure I got that from our last meeting.
Okay.
Eric said that.
Okay. School Facility Study Committee, we've already kind of touched,
April
we've all
3rd.
touched base on that.
Yeah, April the
Sounds like
3rd
April
is
3rd.
the big decisive meeting.
Alright, and, we don't have anyone to report on youth services right now. Audience of citizens, it doesn't look as though we have any citizens wishing to address us at this time. Board of Education member comments? Dave, do you have anything?
I just want to thank everyone that put together that little thank you, for the Board of Education, because we are all volunteers. We do give up our time in many ways besides this meeting and committees and other things, so it's great to be recognized.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I feel the same way. That was great, that all that time and effort went into that video. And nice that my son made the video. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Stacy?
I was feeling terrible that I missed the retreat, so I apologize for that. We
Right.
had no heat or hot water over the
Oh,
weekend, so
no.
that was quite fun. So,
Oh, no.
sorry about that. I wondered, I learned something at my, my regular job this week, and I was curious because after the presentation in the school spotlight on the DECA program, I learned of another kind of similar for healthcare and leadership in healthcare and students that wanted to move into the healthcare industry. And it's something called HOSA. We've been involved in a lot of the work with the governor's, the Office of Workforce Strategy, and really trying to look at, all of the shortages in, obviously there's shortages everywhere, but nursing is the, the kind of the key piece. And I was just curious, I had never heard of this, I had never heard of it, and someone made the correlation to DECA for healthcare, and I was just interested to learn more. So I think I will dig into that a little bit more, but I just didn't know if anybody had heard of that.
Have not. Share it, please. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so I'll
great.
see what
Thank
else
you.
I can find out. Thank you.
Tim?
I would also like to thank for the video presentation. That was very nice for folks to do that in consideration of us. And the second, I would want to just say, I want to kind of give a shout out to Ryan Curley for being willing to make the hard choice to push forward with the track for the high school, middle school, even though the price came in higher than we expected. I think that's I think it's a critical commitment that we need to make to the athletes and students in the school and to the town who uses the track also. And I think it's great, and I hope that people come forward and vote on that at the town meeting and approve it. And I think it's a really of critical importance to our school to do that.
Thank you. And we can do our part to get the word out and try and remind folks
Well, we
about the
do,
vote.
I know, right?
Yeah. Meg?
Thank you for the wonderful video. It was great to see the kids and to know that they know a little bit more about the Board of Ed and all the things that we do, so that was great. Kate is doing a book group, discussion tomorrow night. I believe that the book that everybody was supposed to read is Why Are the Black Kids Sitting in the Back of the Cafeteria, which is a revised edition from probably written in the early 2000s or 1998, and the author has gone back and looked at if there's any changes. The author is going to facilitate, it's a Zoom meeting, so if you haven't looked at the CABE events, there's still time to probably get on that discussion. It was a fascinating study to begin with, and there has been some progress, but not enough. The kids are still sitting together in the back of the cafeteria, so it's going to be an interesting discussion via Zoom with the author. So that's tomorrow also.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just, a couple things. I just wanted to acknowledge, I had the pleasure this evening of attending the Gildersleeve Art Show and Book Fair, and wanted to acknowledge just the tremendous effort that goes into making that event happen by our Gildersleeve librarian and the staff and the PTO. It's just, it was a wonderful event. I mean, so many families there. The parking lot was packed, kids running through the halls, a lot of excitement. It was a really joyous event. And between that and seeing the Portland High School musical last weekend, and you all know I had to miss the last board meeting, I was able this week to watch the video recording from the last meeting, and so I got to see the really phenomenal presentation by the Valley View equity team during our board spotlight. And the combined effect of those three things is just that there's so many exciting and wonderful things happening in our schools right now, from early education all the way up through the high school. And so just, what a joyous thing to be able to witness all of that. So thank you to our administrative team and our teachers for their ongoing efforts to provide really incredible experiences for our students. And thank you, Tricia, and to everyone who helped put together that lovely video. It was just extremely sweet. Thank you. So on that note,
That's great.
I don't believe we have any executive session this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Kim. Seconded, Tim.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Have a great evening.
That's a record.
It's not even 8 o'clock.
That's a record.
Boy.
Holy smokes. And we started late.